Hey horror fans, welcome back to Room 237, coming at you with another a Frankenstein review. This time I'm doing 1943's Frankenstein Meets the Wolfman. This was 1943. This was the fifth film in the Frankenstein series, the direct sequel to Wolfman, and considered the first of the ensemble monster pieces. Because after this, you had House of Frankenstein, which brings all the monsters together. This was really when Universal was really starting to take a dive. It was more of the novelty of bringing these characters together rather than making a good horror film. In fact, I never thought I'd say this because being the huge Frankenstein fan that I am, favorite monster, favorite classic series of my favorite era of horror film, Frankenstein's monster, he was unneeded in this film. It really was. This movie could have just as easily been The Return of the Wolfman or The Wolfman Returns or something. And I think it would have been a better movie instead of trying to pit these two together. Because really, what does the monster bring? Of course, you have the Wolfman, again played by Chaney Jr. Again, like Ghost of Frankenstein, Dwight Frye has a tiny role as a villager, although he is credited. Lionel Atwill again. Ilana Massey as Elsa Frankenstein, daughter of Henry Frankenstein. And as the monster, you have, ironically, Bela Lugosi. Yes, 12 years after Bela Lugosi turned down the role for the original film because he didn't want to be unrecognizable and have no dialogue, he now did it, even though he had played Igor in the last two films. And I'd have to say, up until this point, Lugosi would have to be my least favorite actor to portray the monster so far, up to this point. Now, I mean, yeah, Chaney Jr. was kind of a block of wood when he played the monster. But Lugosi, granted his very limited screen time and what he got to do, I don't know if he was doing it on purpose. I don't know if he was trying to make the monster look kind of like a doofus. I mean, yeah, Chaney kind of did this a little bit, but Lugosi is just playing him like a drunken, like when he like points at things, his arm is like, he's always like stumbling over and all the time. So yeah, I was not a fan of Lugosi's turn as the monster. Chaney does give a good performance as Larry Talbot, as always. The story here is 4 years have passed since Wolfman and Ghost of Frankenstein. And these two guys go into the mausoleum of which the Talbots are buried. Lawrence Talbot, they opened his up and he's still, perfectly preserved, almost like he's still alive, covered in wolfsbane. They remove it, he awakens, goes around on a killing spree, or he kills someone, ends up in a hospital. No one believes he's Larry Talbot. Larry Talbot's dead. They think he's crazy. He escapes. He seeks the help of the old gypsy woman from the original Wolfman, played by Maria Uspinskaya. Hope I pronounced that right. And, you know, she wants to help Larry. She says, I do know of a place we can go. They seek out Dr. Frankenstein. They find out Dr. Frankenstein's been dead. His name is a curse upon the village. But Larry has to make it there. All along the way, he starts to transform into the Wolfman. He leaves the gypsy woman. He transforms. Someone gets killed off screen. We don't see it. He ends up at the castle, but he falls through like a, I don't know, sort of cavern. And I'm guessing it's snow and ice. I thought it was still sulfur because of the last film, and there's no snow above ground, but you can see their breath, so I guess it's snow. It would have to be because he finds the monster in this ice chamber. He breaks him free. And, I mean, that's well into half the film. The gypsy woman gets asked by police to come down and for some questioning. Never see her again. Talbot wants, you know, he wants the doctor's notes on how to create life. He actually wants to die. In fact, there's even a part where there's like this festival of the new wine, and there's this song, Farrell Farrelly, I think is the name of the song. I actually like the song. I like the voice of the guy that sings it, about how life is long and joyous, and he has a scene. So he meets with the last surviving Frankenstein, Elsa, who I think might actually be the daughter of Wolf or Ludwig. I don't think she's the daughter of Henry. She could be. I would actually have to look that up. Because there's already two Elsas. Daughter of Ludwig. That's what I thought. And basically, the end of the film, he get this one doctor, played by, let's see, Lionel Atwill was the mayor or a burgomaster. Dr. Mannering, played by Patrick Knowles, to basically drain the life of both the monster and Talbot. You know, because then the townspeople can be free of the monster, and Talbot can be rid of his curse. But during the draining process, which this time comes from like shocking the bolts in the neck, so it's just another thing of opposites. Electricity doing the opposite of something in the film before it. But the doctor is tempted to see the monster at full strength, so he sort of reverses it to revive him completely. Elsa comes in and stops it. Apparently, that process was enough to give the monster his sight back. That's why we lost it at the end of the last film. And then that, you know, monster breaks free, goes after the doctor, then he goes after Elsa, and it's when Talbot starts to transform, and that's when we get our fight. Yeah. With a title like Meets, and the cover showing that it's going to be a fight movie, it's like barely the last 2 or 3 minutes of the film. I mean, it is the tail end of the movie. And there isn't really a winner because the villagers, they get someone to rig up dynamite at this dam, which is right above the castle, and they do it, and it just sends everyone away. Now, I wouldn't say this is a very bad film. It's not bad. I mean, it doesn't deserve the 25 that's on Rotten Tomatoes. I mean, I think Batman v Superman, as far as movies like that go, has like a 25 or 27. That deserves it. Yes, I do read comics. Don't even fuck with me in the comments about that. But again, this was sort of the first of its kind, bringing two popular characters together in this crossover film. But I like the idea more about, you know, Larry Talbot sort of being in, what's the word I'm looking for? You know, warded off. It's right on the tip of my tongue. I can't think of the word I'm looking for, but you know, like, it sort of like, they put Wolfsbane on him, so, you know, he's kind of defenseless. And him trying to find a way to rid the curse. I mean, I guess I like the idea of him seeking out Dr. Frankenstein, but I do feel it could have been way better. They could have incorporated the monster a little bit more. And I do know that the whole Frankenstein part of the title, like the rest of the films, involves the name Frankenstein. Like in this case it'd be Elsa meets the Wolfman, not necessarily the monster. And yes, I do know that Chaney had to play the Wolfman, so he obviously couldn't play the monster. Karloff was already done with it, so they gave it to Lugosi. I believe this was his only time playing the monster. But, you know, after this, actually around this time, you know, I think the following year, or the next couple years, they did House of Frankenstein. And at that point, they had done Son of Dracula and Daughter of Dracula beforehand. So you were really just in the ensemble Monster Mash films. And from what I've gathered from like James Rolfe over at Cinemassacre is, while they have their entertainment value, they just kept getting more and more silly and kind of desperate. But yeah, I would say Frankenstein meets Wolfman. Lon Chaney Jr.'s performance alone was good. I do know that since this was really the first time they brought two popular characters together, even for a fight. You know, I do know that in 62 or 63, the first King Kong versus Godzilla film has the same fight music as in the end of this. I do know that the fight scene was played in the beginning of Alien vs. Predator, which I don't care about that movie. Haven't seen it, not gonna review it. I don't care enough about either franchise enough to see it. But anyway, yeah. It really kind of makes me think of, it actually kind of made me reflect on like the comic book movies of today. I'd rather just see fucking solo superhero film than trying to get this extended universe shit. I'm not interested. Maybe in the next film, because I've heard House of Frankenstein, it's actually pretty good. Again, it does depend on the film, but DC's track record lately, not really, but yeah, this was definitely the weakest of the Frankenstein series so far. That said, I love these Universal monster movies so much that I still got my entertainment value out of it. It just wasn't as good, obviously. But anyway, that is 1943's Frankenstein Meets the Wolfman. Thank you for watching.